Joining me right now on the HR&P listener line from The Athletic, covering the Houston Astros and more, it is Chandler Rome. Chandler, we are now almost a week removed from the Astros, shocking me at the very least, with a massive contract for reliever Josh Hader, 5 years, $95 million. Were you as surprised as I was?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect them to do that. I thought they'd add another reliever. I didn't know that they'd go to the top of the market. It's kind of funny to hear the posturing now. Dana Brown has been adamant. He was adamant at FanFest that this had nothing to do with Kendall Graveman's season-ending shoulder surgery that they announced on Tuesday. But somehow the deal came together in just 72 hours. And he made it a point to say that his first call to Jeff Berry at CAA was on Tuesday before they signed Josh Hader on Friday. They announced Kendall Graveman's season-ending surgery on Tuesday. So I do think this was reactionary as well. But I think Dana actually put it in a pretty interesting light. They were throwing around who in the reliever market they could get, and I mean, the prices are high. The prices are really high for relievers. Aroldis Chapman just got $10.5 million. Robert Stevenson got an $11 million AAV and a $32 million contract. They were basically just like, look, if the prices are going to be this high, we might as well go to the top of the market. And, I know everyone, it had been a talking point throughout the offseason about the CBT and their proximity to the competitive balance tax. And, what I kept reporting and what I kept hearing was that, Jim Crane, it was not that he was averse to going over the CBT. He was just only going to do it for the right sort of deal. I don't think he was going to go over the CBT just for an average reliever, just for an average guy. Josh Hader made sense. Josh Hader is the kind of guy that you do go over the CBT for. So, kind of putting everything together, yeah, you can kind of see where their path brought them here, but no, I mean, it was a pretty stark departure from Jim Crane's standard operating procedure, the biggest free agent deal he's ever given as an owner, and the second biggest free agent deal in franchise history. So certainly not something you expect, but once you start putting the pieces together, it makes a little bit of sense.
Is there another right guy that they might be looking at, or are they close to done? I know Dana Brown had mentioned a left-handed bat in the outfield with some speed is a package that they would pounce on. I know others, especially considering there were rumors about the Astros being interested in Josh Hader or Blake Snell at the trade deadline with San Diego, about maybe Blake Snell. I don't know if that's a pipe dream. Is there anybody else that is going to make Astros fans even happier? Another big splash signing that they could potentially do? Or do you think they're probably done when it comes to moves of this caliber?
Yeah, I think we've done like big deals, with the caveat that I thought they were not going to sign Josh Hader either. So anything can happen. But, I think the left-handed bat thing is a little bit overblown, because when you look at what they have, they do have John Singleton, and I know that doesn't inspire a ton of confidence, but he'll probably break camp with the team on the bench as a left-handed bat. But their top three prospects, the three position player prospects that they're most excited about are Jacob Melton, Joey Loperfido, and Will Wagner. All three of them are left-handed hitters. To me, it would not make a ton of sense to go out there and invest money in a position player market in a free agent position player market that's not very good. Like, you look out there and there's not that guy that you're just clamoring for, like, oh, we need this left-handed bat. Like, this is the guy we want to pounce on. I just don't see that name. So to me, it would make more sense if they just, if they need a left-handed bat, give Jacob Melton a chance. Give Joey Loperfido a chance. Give Will Wagner. One of those three guys, because to me that's a little more sensible, a little more cost-effective. And you know what? You got to try these guys out at some point. And they're really excited about Jacob Melton. I know he was very coveted in the Justin Verlander trade discussions last July, and Dana Brown basically said he wasn't trading him, and that's why they put Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford in the trade. They believed in Melton that much, and he's still got to prove himself a little bit in the upper minor leagues, but I could see him getting a chance if they need a left-handed bat, if they think that the lineup's getting a little too right-handed heavy. So I don't really buy that they're going to go out and splurge on a left-handed bat when they've got a lot of more cost-effective options in the organization that they can go to.
Chandler Rome of The Athletic with me on the HR&P guest line. Now, you give Josh Hader that kind of money, probably a safe assumption to believe that he will be the closer. Lots of discussion, though, over the last couple of days and quotes about how the Astros talked to Ryan Presley about this move and how there's some collaboration, I guess, so that no one has their feelings hurt. Am I correct assuming that with that kind of money, Edwin Diaz kind of money, that Josh Hader is going to be the Astros closer this coming year?
Well, it's kind of funny, Paul. You mentioned all those quotes. Who haven't you seen quotes from in the last 4 or 5 days?
Ryan Presley.
Correct. So everyone is saying he's on board, and it's all second, third-hand information. But I think until he actually speaks, and I think until he actually, I think this is one thing. Ryan Presley, by all accounts, through his teammates, through people I've talked to that know him, people in the clubhouse, he is a consummate professional, team-first guy. I don't think this is going to be a big deal, but he's a human being. And at some point, there has to be, you like to feel appreciated just as a human being and the job you do. And I think Ryan Presley, by and large, since he became the closer in 2021, has really gone underappreciated, just in the view of fans, in the view of just of a lot of people. I mean, this is an elite closer. This is an elite reliever. Probably certainly one of the best postseason relievers in baseball history. Probably right behind Billy Wagner as probably the best closer in Astros history. And, it can be tough. It can be tough when you maybe feel slighted, feel underappreciated. I don't think the Astros signed Josh Hader because of that. I think they signed Josh Hader to make their team better. They signed Josh Hader to give Joe Espada 3 of the most elite relievers in baseball back into the bullpen to finish the game out. But, I think the best bullpens in baseball are maneuverable or adaptable. I think it would be foolish and I think it would be archaic if they go into the season saying, all right, Brian Brady's pitching every 7th inning, Ryan Presley's pitching every 8th inning, and Josh Hader's pitching every 9th inning. If there are 2 or 3 big left-handed bats coming up in the 8th inning, if you're playing the Rangers and they have Corey Seager coming up in the 8th inning of a 1-run game, I'd imagine that, Josh Hader as a left-handed reliever probably matches up better. You can play matchups, you can read and react. I don't think this is going to be a situation where Josh Hader is going to pitch every 9th inning, but yeah, it'd be foolish to think he signed here for $95 million to come be the setup. So I think Joe Espada has already been pretty adamant that he does want to define roles, that he wants to be transparent with guys, that he wants to tell them, here's how we want to deploy you. But I don't think that also means that he's going to be so stringent and so rigid that he keeps those guys in those roles all the time. I think he's given himself a lot of flexibility to be able to use any of those 3 guys when he wants. But, yeah, I do think he's going to name a closer. I do think at some point in spring training there will be a closer named, and I'd be surprised if it's not Josh Hader.
Chandler Rome of The Athletic with me on the HR&P guest line. Okay, so lots of money given to Josh Hader, and the developments this week, at least as far as what the Astros are saying about Jose Altuve, about Alex Bregman in the last year of their contracts. Dana Brown says there's been no contract talks with them, which is surprising given how often Dana Brown sounds like a politician who's telling everybody exactly what they want to hear. We also heard from Kyle Tucker that there have been no talks about an extension. Obviously, the Astros are capable of throwing a curveball at us with this Josh Hader deal, but how do you think this affects their ability to re-sign all 3 of these players with their futures here in Houston, especially with Altuve and Bregman definitely up in the air with the contracts expiring?
Yeah, I don't think this changes my view of the situation much. I'd be pretty shocked if Jose Altuve ever plays anywhere else in his career, just because he's been so adamant that he wants to finish his career here. When he told me last spring that he wants to play until he's 40, and if you look at his age now and kind of when 40 would come up, that's about another 5 or a 6-year deal. The longest extension Jim Crane's ever given out in his ownership tenure is 6 years. You can kind of connect the dots there. I'd be pretty surprised if Jose Altuve even hits free agency this winter. But Alex Bregman's a different story. He's younger. He sees what other third basemen commensurate to him have gotten. You can look at the Machado deal maybe as a soft comp. I'm not saying that he's going to get that sort of money, but I mean, you look at their stats, you look at their age, you can kind of see why he looks at that deal as one that, and why a lot of people are going to look at that deal as one that, relates to him. So it's going to be a bigger task to get done with both Bregman and Kyle Tucker. And Tucker, they can wait another year. Obviously, he's got 2 more years of control left. But, I think, and I wrote about this right after the Hader signing, broke, was it's going to be interesting to see what this was. Was this just an overreaction to Kendall Graveman needing season-ending surgery and realizing that your bullpen had really just two trusted options? Or was this a philosophical change? Was this Jim Crane kind of acknowledging that, the way the sport is going, the way the prices in the market in the sport has gone up the last couple of years, and the abundance of longer-term contracts for young guys. You look at the pre-arb extensions that have been done. You look at the extensions that have been done. They are getting up there in 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Is this a shift? Is this something that? And we also had to look at last year. They opted not to bring back Justin Verlander. They opted not to sign him. And to get him back at the deadline, you had to give up 2 of your best prospects out of an already bad farm system. He hired Dana Brown in part to improve the farm system, to draft and develop and get the farm system better. He's let Dana Brown really restructure the amateur scouting staff this offseason, hiring a lot of more veteran scouts to kind of beef up that operation and really get the farm system back to where it was. And I don't think you can keep undercutting that by just waiting until the trade deadline to address your needs. So I think that has something to do with it as well. So, I don't know. I think only time will tell whether this was just a one-time thing where, he saw Josh Hader and he knew that they could make a run in 24 with him, so he splurged, or whether this is a complete kind of change in how he does business. It'll be fascinating to see, but I think only time will tell what it's going to be.
Chandler Rome with The Athletic with me on the HRP guest line. One last question for you, Chandler. So I've been having a tough time looking back on the year trying to figure out, wait, is this the team that was a game away from the World Series, which they were, or is this a team that was a couple of games away from missing the playoffs altogether, which they also were? You obviously had underachieving in the starting pitching, and you had some real struggles at home, struggles at the plate. You're missing Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez for a lot of the year. Going into this coming season, where does the Josh Hader move the Astros when it comes to power rankings in terms of teams who have the most likely chance of winning a World Series this year?
I mean, they're no doubt better. I mean, they've no doubt made themselves better this year than they were last, just on paper. And you also have to look at kind of what left, too. Like, Yainer Diaz should get 500 to 600 plate appearances this year. And assuming he doesn't have a sophomore slump, that's going to help the lineup. They need Jose Abreu to be what he was in the playoffs, maybe throughout more of the season. It would help if Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez stayed healthy, obviously. But, I think they're a better team on paper now than they certainly were last year. And I think the thing with the bullpen that may go unnoticed a little bit, and look, Abreu, Presley, and Hader are not going to be available to pitch every day. But because they've got those 3 guys, they have shortened the game. Like, it takes pressure off of your starters too. Like, the starters don't need to get you into the 7th inning every time. Like, if they can get you through 6 and the lineup can score 4 or 5 runs and you've got a 1 or a 2 run lead after the 6th inning, you're going to feel pretty good if all 3 of those guys are available. Now, there's going to be games where not all 3 of them are available. There's going to be games where things kind of fluctuate and things like that. But having the bullpen that they have, especially the back end, is really going to mitigate a lot of the pressure that maybe the starting rotation faced. And, it'll be interesting to see, how Luis Garcia and Lance McCullers, when they come back, what they do to that rotation. Who from that rotation leads into the bullpen? How does that change the complexion of the bullpen? So I think there are better teams certainly coming into this season than they were going into last season on paper. But, other teams have improved. The Yankees traded for Juan Soto, who's really, really good. The Rangers are bringing their entire offense back, minus Mitch Garver, the World Series champion team. At the All-Star break, the Rangers are going to get Max Scherzer back. They're going to get Jacob deGrom back. And, they signed Clayton Kershaw. Maybe they've got Clayton Kershaw. That could be 3 Hall of Famers in that rotation, which is pretty incredible. So it's not going to be a cakewalk by any means, but I think the Astros are certainly in a better position heading into spring this year than they were last year.
He is Chandler Rome. You can catch all his work on The Athletic, covering the Astros and covering baseball. Chandler, always appreciate your time. Hopefully we get to do this again before the embargo, and you have yourself a wonderful time up until spring training begins.
All right. Thanks, Paul.